And I am Jolie Lewis. I'm the Associate Director of Transfer Student Success in University Advising. I just actually hit record for this session. And so just to recap for those of us who, for anyone who may be watching this recording later, I'm joined today by Jennifer Jackson and Kate McDaniel, who are Transfer Advising Coordinators, also in University Advising, and Libby Wesley, who is the Director of the University Career Center. So we want to get started today by talking with you about navigating change. We're going to kind of have a theme of navigation here as we talk about academic success as you make your transition from your previous institution, whatever that may have been, to James Madison University. We're really glad you're here. Congratulations on your acceptance to JMU. Transfer students, you are a unique population. You already have a lot of college experience, a lot of college level credit, experience in higher education. But even while that's true, James Madison University is also a new place to you. So there are new systems and new cultures and new procedures that you'll be getting used to over the next few weeks, a few months, first semester or two. So we know that many of you are coming out of institutions from the Virginia community colleges, but many of you also are not. About 70% of our students come from community colleges, and the rest come from other four-year institutions or out-of-state community colleges. And so even though you may even have your associate degree, we know you've got that experience, there's things that we want to make sure to introduce you to, and this session is going to be one of the first important steps with that. So to talk for a minute about, so for those of you who are coming from a community college, it's worth talking a little bit about how community college and JMU might be a little bit different. So here at JMU, it's a huge school, of course, much bigger than the community college where you're likely to have come from in most cases. But we have over 21,000 students from all over Virginia and even around the world. It's selective admissions. So not everyone who applied has been able to get into JMU. So congratulations again for being part of that group who's able to come to James Madison. There's a broader range of programs and majors. So there are so many things that you could major in, so many programs that you could minor in. So there's just a lot of options as you get started academically. Almost all transfer students have chosen a major, but there's still really an opportunity to explore. Are there minor programs or really unique classes that you might be interested in taking? We, of course, offer four-year bachelor's degree, plus master's degrees and doctoral degrees. So you may have the chance to interact with students at all kinds of different levels in their higher education journey. You will find that in many cases, our classes are more likely to be in person. Okay, hang on one second. You can't see the presentation? Okay, I'm going to pause for a minute, everyone. Is there a share screen on at all? Okay, let me then make sure to go back here to share screen. Okay, now can you see it? Okay, thumbs up. And you're seeing only the screen with the slide I'm talking about, right? Not the other slides. Okay, good. All right, so the share screen hopefully is on. This is the content. You're hearing me cover it, but now you can see the bullet points that go with it too. And so I think I was saying that there's going to be more of your courses here than perhaps at a community college are going to be in person. That's especially because you're getting toward those upper level classes that tend to be more specialized, that are going to be a little more expensive to run, that are research oriented. And so you'll find that most of the offerings at JMU, with some exceptions, are going to be in person and not online. And then there are so many opportunities for ways that you can go above and beyond in your educational experience. So you'll have chances to do internships and research, study abroad, getting involved in clubs and organizations, having leadership positions, all of those really exciting opportunities that come with the pursuit of a bachelor's degree. So as we talk about how JMU kind of designs your educational experience during the time that you're here, we like to actually often reference this study. It's from 2021, and it was a study of more than 500 major employers across the United States. And the question that was asked of them is what were they looking for in new employees? And so you can see in this graphic here, these are 9 of the themes that emerged from conversations with those employers in that national study. And we like to sometimes highlight a couple of these for you. I would like to talk first about that breadth plus depth conversation. We often come to our college experience and we're thinking about, hey, this is what I'm going to major and I'm going to learn all these things in my major. I'm really going to get that deep level of knowledge in this field that I'm excited to be a part of. When we talk about that, we're talking about the depth of your experience, a very deep experience where you can really build knowledge in that area that's your major. Very important to employers. We also know that they're really still looking for that college degree. We are in a knowledge-based economy right now, and earning that college degree really helps build that knowledge that employers find to be so important. But what is also interesting, if we sort of shift to the left side where it says broad skills matter, and also that one about breadth and depth, while employers are looking for knowledge, and while they're looking for deep knowledge in that field that you're going to pursue, they also really want a broad base of knowledge and an understanding across many topics, many subject areas, things that are happening in the world right now. And the education at JMU is really designed to give you that experience. A big part of that happens in the general education program. We'll talk about that a bit more as the slides go on. The other thing I want to highlight from the study of employers is that they really feel that experiences set students apart. And we think this is so important to talk about with transfer students because you may be on a shortened timeline at James Madison University, but it's still so important that you find ways to get involved outside of your experiences in the classroom. And so we really want to encourage you to get involved in those, student organizations, to do that kind of research with a faculty member that you may have an opportunity to do, to pursue those internships, to maybe even try to find some time to travel to another country and study abroad, because those are all things that are just really, they've been part of the United States higher education experience for a long time, but they're also something that your employers, your future employers will really care about seeing on your resume. So knowing what we are aiming for in terms of your educational experience, I want to talk to you for a minute about how James Madison University really tries to create that kind of broad and broad educational experience. And so you'll be taking courses while you're at JMU that fall into 4 categories. The first one, which you can kind of see in the bottom part of the pie chart, are the courses for your major. And you will be taking more courses for your major than for any other kind of area that we'll talk about here. And that's where you're getting that depth of knowledge again. But you do also, as you can see in the big yellow slice of the pie, have classes that you could be taking for core curriculum. And so that's our general education program. We call it the Human Community. And so there's going to be, it's approximately 41 credits in different courses that'll give you that broad base of knowledge and experience and critical thinking skills and problem solving skills that can be so important. But there are these other 2 pie slices I want to talk about a bit too. One is degree requirements. You will have some requirements for your degree, and what those are may vary depending on the kind of degree you get. So those of you who are working toward a Bachelor of Arts degree in your major may have some different requirements than those of you who are working toward a Bachelor of Science degree, which may be different than Bachelors of Nursing or Bachelors of Social Work and so on and so forth. So there can be some slight differences in what you take based on the kind of degree you're getting. And finally, you'll take some courses in the category known as electives. And I like to talk about this for a couple reasons. Electives are important because they are a way that you can really distinguish yourself through coursework that you pursue. That could be a minor, that could be a double major. It could be kind of a cluster of classes that you think go together really well and allow you to pursue an opportunity of some kind. It could just be classes that interest you. And so these electives are really an important part of your experience at JMU. But they can also be really important to transfer students, because in some cases you will be receiving elective credit for coursework that you have done prior to coming to JMU. And sometimes people worry, you see those elective credits on your transcript, it says 000, and you feel like, hey, that is sort of wasted credit. And we just want to explain that that it really is still helping you. It helps fill some of the requirements that's in this part of the pie for your degree, but it also helps move you toward those 120 credits. So, sometimes if you have some courses that come in as electives, there's really a space for that here at JMU, and it still helps you earn your degree. So diving in a little bit deeper into the general education program, there are 5 different areas of general education, and each of them have 2 to 4 courses that are part of that area. Many of them are very unique courses. They can be a lot of fun to take. And so we hope that you have the opportunity to take some gen ed courses. Sometimes you'll find that you take gen ed courses, even if you don't need them for general education. So in some cases, courses that happen to be part of our general education program are also required for your major. So even if you have a waiver for general education, you may end up taking some gen ed courses while you're here. But that being said, we want to talk a little bit about, for different students here in this meeting, your general education requirements could really vary based on your previous experience. So some of you are coming from Virginia community colleges and you have received a transferable associate degree, and you will actually receive a full waiver of general education at JMU. That means that unless a course is required from the general education umbrella for your major, you won't be needing to take any general education courses. Others of you may not have that associate degree. You may have earned an associate degree that's not transferable. You may be coming from an out-of-state community college or from another 4-year institution. In that case, you'll be needing your general education, in some cases through transfer. So we have looked at every single course that you've taken before, seen what they are equivalent of at JMU, and been able to sort of check boxes of general education that you've already completed. And then see what you have left to take, and you'll be able to take those general education courses while you're here. And so briefly, to make a quick plug for one of those areas of general education, it's in Madison Foundations. It's called Critical Thinking. And we do just want to let you know that we have 300 level courses that can be taken to satisfy this area of general education, your critical thinking requirement. And some of these are especially fun, and because they're at the 300 level, it tends to be a class that you will see a lot of other transfer students in. So if you need critical thinking, and if any of these courses happen to have room for them, we would encourage you to sign up as a way to fulfill your critical thinking requirement. And so with that kind of overview of the educational experience at JMU and general education and how it works, I'm happy to hand off the presentation to Kate McDaniel.
All right, so we are going to talk about tips and tricks. Do you want to go to the next slide? There. Tools and tips for transfer enrollment. Okay, so these are some important tools for all of you. The transfer credit report, of course, this is what is listing all of your courses that you took at your previous institution and how they are transferring in to JMU. This is in My Madison in your student center. It does not show the JMU requirements. So academic requirements is a different place in your student center, but that shows how your credits are applying to your major, to general education, to your degree, and is showing your progress. It does not include in your academic requirements, it does not include your courses that were in progress when you applied. So if we don't have your spring courses yet, those do show up as in progress on your credit report, but they're not going to show up in academic requirements until you get the actual physical credit. The JMU undergraduate catalog, of course, is the Bible for JMU that details all of our majors, minors, programs, everything. And then finally, the general education planner, where you can see what your options are if you still have general education courses to fulfill. So the transfer credit report, this is an example. This is showing several different statuses. So posted means credit has been granted. You can see on the left, the course that you took at your previous institution, how many credits, the grade, and then posted. So that will show up on your JMU transcript. In progress, again, I just mentioned that those were the classes that you were taking that you didn't have grades for yet. Reminder, we need that final transcript. You'll see a couple other things. No rule, no equivalent course. This is not necessarily going to apply to those of you coming from the VCCS, but often applies to those of you coming from out of state or another four-year institution. Basically, what the no rule means is we have not built this out. We don't have every college and every course in the universe in our database. So we always get courses that we haven't seen before. And if this is showing up on one or more of your courses, it doesn't mean it won't transfer. It just means it's not in the database yet. So what happens is the registrar's office will send that out to the appropriate department so that they can review it, send it back, and then they will update both the database and your transfer credit report. So if you're still seeing that's something that you can talk with your advisor about. It's helpful if you maybe have an unofficial copy of your transcript. Maybe the advisor can see better what the course would be. And then we don't want you to sign up for courses that you will be bringing credit in. Rejected would be for a grade. You have to have a C or better, not a C minus, but a C or better to transfer. And in some cases, there's a multi-course requisite. And a good example would be U.S. history from the VCCS, the Virginia Community College System. History 121 and 122 must be taken together in order to earn credit for JMU's History 225. So in some cases, you might see it either rejected if you don't have both courses, or in some cases, you might see you'll have 000 credit because you need both of them to get specific credit. All right, so some advice for students from Virginia community colleges. The general education waiver applies if you got a transferable or are earning a transferable associate degree. Some of you are probably finishing in the summer, which is perfectly fine and normal. We would just need that final transcript. We have to have a copy of your final official transcript with the degree on it. And just to let you know, there is some lag time in between when final grades are posted and then when the degrees are posted. Some schools can do it very quickly. They're smaller schools. Other gigantic schools like Nova might take longer for that degree to be posted. So make sure if you don't want to send your transcript, pay to send your transcript twice, make sure that you're sending it after your degree is posted. And then you'll see in your academic requirements, the general education waiver for the VCCS waiver. And that is how it will read. Some of you may be coming without an associate degree. Some of you are coming without an associate degree, I happen to know. You may have earned Passport or UCGS, Uniform Certificate of General Studies credit. And that's important because if you don't get the full general education waiver, Passport and UCGS, if you complete those credentials, one or more of those credentials, then they do waive some of general education. So that's a good conversation with your advisor if you think you might have that. You always want to check your academic requirements report in My Madison. Double check. Things can get missed. Mistakes can be made. Not very many, not very often, but it's a good idea for you to be on top of your academic requirements and know how your credits are coming in. Some of you may be very close to earning an associate degree. In that case, you might want to consider a reverse transfer. And basically what that means is, for example, you left your previous institution 6 credits short of your associate degree. You come to JMU without the Gen Ed waiver and you discover you need 18 credits to satisfy JMU's Gen Ed requirements. You can take those remaining 6 credit, potentially you could take those equivalent courses at JMU, transfer them back to your community college, and then get the degree, and that saves you some time and money. And if any of you are interested in that, I know we asked that in the Canvas course too, you can reach out to transfer advising at jmu.edu or to Jennifer or me, and we can help you with that whole process. Something that's very important for all community college students to remember is you need 60 credits from a 4-year institution to get your degree from JMU. If you're coming from a 2-year institution, you must take 60 credits at JMU to meet that requirement. So for those of you who are coming from 4-year schools or out-of-state community colleges and don't have the Gen Ed waiver, you're going to be more likely to see 000 elective credit. Jolie mentioned that earlier. And as she said, that's credit that counts towards graduation. But if you think that course should meet a specific general education requirement or major requirement, you can appeal that. And that is a form that you'll find on the registrar's website under current students and forms. And it's a request for reevaluation, transfer credit reevaluation. We do require that you attach the syllabus. So basically what the registrar's office does to get initial credit granted for transfer credit is they send the course catalog description, which is usually short, doesn't give a lot of information. And oftentimes the department will say, we need more information like the syllabus. You can appeal it using that. And general education will be met for those of you out of state or 4-year through course by course evaluation. So again, check your academic requirements report. Everybody has to have 30 credits taken at JMU to graduate from JMU. So if you're coming from another 4-year, those credits are going to count towards that total 60. But you do need a minimum of 30 at JMU to graduate. So one final plug, submit those final transcripts, especially if you are expecting the gen ed waiver, graduating in the summer, that's going to be later in August. We need that final transcript. And we also want to give you credit for your spring grades and classes so that registration is a little bit easier for you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer to talk about advising.
All right, so the next few slides, I'll try to be quick so Libby can discuss all of her fun career stuff. But the next few slides, we're going to talk a little bit about what to anticipate today, hopefully what you've already started working through since you accepted your offer and started working through the one book, and things just to anticipate as you're working with your advisor from now until really you graduate here at JMU. We like to emphasize that your advisor is an extremely important resource for you to have here at JMU. They're on your team. They want to see you succeed. But we also emphasize here at JMU that your academic journey is your own and you need to take responsibility for that. And so, definitely recommend setting up those semester appointments with your advisor, making sure you're on top of your academic requirements, your transfer credit report, as Kate mentioned, and just making sure that you're taking control of your own academic journey. So what to expect today during your advising session, which is going to happen right after we finish with you all in about 30 minutes. But today is a really good time to review that schedule that you've already built with your advisor. We know that some of you are still working on adding a class or two to your schedule. Maybe some of you haven't registered for any classes yet, but we want to make sure that by tonight at 11:59 that you've worked yourself through building a full-time schedule if that's what you want this fall semester. Up until, well, yesterday, first-year students were enrolling, and then today, our transfer students who are here today will be enrolling in classes. So it's really important that if you need to add a course or if you need to have that conversation with your advisor about switching around things on your schedule, that you do that today. The other important piece of what you're going to do during your academic advising session today is learn a little bit more about your major, right? Learn about those research opportunities, if that's something you're interested in here at JMU. Learn about, if you want to do study abroad or if you want to pick up a minor. So there's a lot of really good conversations you can have with your advisor today. And we really encourage you to have those conversations after you meet with your advisor and throughout the afternoon. Also want to emphasize talking to your advisor about different ways you can get involved now that you're here at JMU. As Jolie mentioned earlier today, most of you are in a shortened time frame here at JMU, whether that's 2 years or 3 years. And so you definitely want to, if you are looking to get involved, not only within your major, but here on JMU's campus, having those conversations today as well. So again, hopefully most of you have already reviewed some of this information or familiar with what your class schedule will look like. Just a couple things to point out as you are building your schedule. If you are going to be adding anything today, make sure, as Kate mentioned earlier, that you're not adding a course to your fall schedule that you think you may be getting credit for, either from taking a class this summer or for those of you who are going through the appeals process. Let's say you think you may get credit for a critical thinking requirement under Madison Foundations. You may want to make sure you wait and take that class. So things just to consider as you're building that schedule today. Hopefully, some of you have already checked out this, this little diagram here on the side. This, can I get there to class on time? This is really helpful, especially for those of you who are coming from the community college system. JMU is a lot bigger, right? It takes some time to walk from one end of campus to the next. And so this diagram that you will see here will essentially let you know, depending on what building your class is in, can you get there within that 20-minute time frame. So this is really helpful. If you want to scan that QR code, you'll be able to pull this up. You can also just Google on JMU's website. You know, if you want to get there on time, you can Google that. So I would definitely take advantage of that. Make sure you're checking that out to make sure that you can get on to your classes between that time frame. I know we have a couple questions coming in. I can take a look at them now, or we can wait. Oh, okay, Julie, I see you answered the one question. So do want to throw out there, just we have a Q&A down at the bottom. So if you have some broad questions just about, you know, general advising questions or transcript questions or things like that, go ahead and plug that in there, and we'll hopefully have a few minutes at the end to answer those questions for you. So after today, a few important pieces to note. If you want to change your major today, go ahead and talk to your advisor about that, because you have resources today, like myself, like Jolie, like Kate, who can help you work through that schedule today if you need to make some changes. After 5 p.m. tomorrow, I can't believe we're already at July 21st already, almost tomorrow, you can make that change in My Madison. And then come August 1st is when you will be able to, you know, switch up classes if you want to, because that's when enrollment opens up for everyone in the university, is again on August 1st. So work with your advisor today. If there's any changes you need to make today, please work with that advisor. Your enrollment is open until 11:59 tonight. Again, if there's any changes and you think, you know, you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're like, oh my goodness, I want to change that class, we can still work with you tomorrow morning as well. Just make sure you touch base with your advisor. And a few things just to consider as you're preparing for this fall semester. We've listed a couple of them here. Definitely just want to emphasize getting involved here at JMU now that you're here. The more you're involved, the more JMU is going to feel like home. And the more that you're going to feel involved in the campus and in the community. JMU is a really large institution, but the benefit of when you get involved is it does make it feel a little bit smaller. I can attest to that because I was a transfer student back in the day, and I got involved not only in clubs and organizations on campus, but also with my major. And it did make my experience seem that much more fulfilling. A couple of things I want to point out on here. Clubs and organizations, there is a large student org night within the first week or two of fall semester. And so that's when all clubs and organizations are on campus. And if it's a great time to go and get information, there's a transfer student organization. Reach out to your advisor, find out their faculty office hours. We're going to talk a little bit in a second about the Duke's Career Connections event that's going to be happening the week before classes start. And then Libby's going to talk a little bit about the career planning that's really beneficial to you guys now that you're here. All right, so just wanted to touch base a little bit about this Duke Careers Connections before I pass it over to Libby. So this is a new event that we're going to be doing this summer, right before classes start, which again, is hard to believe that it's almost a month away. But it's going to take place August 16th through 18th, and it's a collaborative partnership between University Advising and the University Career Center. And what this is going to essentially do is provide a few days of ways that you can link the two. So link your major to career opportunities and do the strong interest inventory theory and all these wonderful events that we'll be having on campus. The biggest thing I want to point out is if you are interested in this, go ahead and scan the QR code on the bottom. One thing just to keep in mind is for those of you who may be living on campus, this is an opportunity for you to move to campus a few days early. For those of you who are local, live in the Valley or not too far and plan to commute to campus, this is an event you could take advantage of as well. And for those of you who are planning to live off campus, we know move-in sometimes, depending on when you signed your lease or when you coordinated that with your landlord, may not be until potentially the weekend. But if this is something you're interested in, we always encourage you to reach out to your landlord and see if maybe you can move in a few days early. But definitely take advantage of this opportunity, especially if you're interested in learning more about those jobs and those internship opportunities, because again, want to get that all on your radar now, especially before you jump into fall semester and get busy with all your classes here at JMU. And I think that's it for me. And I'm going to pass it over to Libby to talk about all the different ways to be career ready now that you're here at JMU.
All right. Hello again, everyone. My name is Libby Westley. I work in the University Career Center. Love working with transfer students. You all are some of the UCC's best customers. It seems like you know this stuff must be important or something like that. So we look forward to working with you from now until you graduate, and hope that you will be frequent flyers in our office. What I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today are the 5 ways to be career ready. So these are 5 steps that you can take. The first one, activate your handshake profile. You can even start now. You should have gotten an email, or you will get an email in about an hour, encouraging you to activate your handshake profile. Anyway, these are 5 ways to be career ready. The first way to be career ready is to activate that handshake profile. Handshake is our career management system. Inside of Handshake are all of the jobs and internships that we know of. You can also find out about events on campus, career fairs, who's going to be coming to the career fairs, what employers are interviewing students for jobs and internships here on campus and also virtually. It's also important for you to fill out your handshake profile, because in the Career Center, we use the information that's in your profile statement to help us know what are the interests of JMU students. And then we can look in our handshake database from our admin perspective and see, do we have the number of employers that match kind of the interest of our students? But we can only do that effectively when your profiles are active. So we want you, anytime you change your mind about your preferences, just go in and change your handshake profile there. So the first way to be career ready is to activate that handshake profile. The second way for you to be career ready is to make sure you're having at least one one-on-one appointment with us in the University Career Center. And you know, the one-on-one appointments are great because they're really all about you. So we get to know you. What are your career questions? What are your career ideas? And then how do we help you to bring those to fruition? If you have no idea what you want to do, if you have changing ideas of what you want to do, either now or as you're moving through your semester, we have an assessment that we use in the office. It's called the Strong Interest Inventory, and it can give you some language to talk about yourself and your career ideas and generate some new ideas for you if you're feeling kind of stuck that way. Can also be a good confirmation that the direction that you're going it fits. So keep that in mind. Again, it's called the Strong Interest Inventory, but we interpret that in a one-on-one setting. So again, encourage you to schedule at least one career advising appointment with us. If you know exactly what you want to do, we still want to be working with you. The ability to talk about yourself and be able to translate what you know about yourself into how it relates to careers, internships, graduate school, undergraduate research, whatever it is you might be applying for. That takes some practice and some thought. It's not intuitive. And so what we do in the Career Center is we help you prepare yourself and prepare to be able to talk about yourself so that people will remember what you're saying about yourself, whether that's on your resume and your cover letter, how you respond to interview questions, or just in your introductions. So they'll remember what you say and then want to have you as a part of their team. So that second way to be career ready is to make sure you're taking advantage of the one-on-one appointments. The third way to be career ready is to make sure that you are attending all of the university career fairs. So we have 2 back-to-back days in the fall. We have 70 employers each day, a completely different 70 employers the second day. And so we want you to come to every career fair for 30 minutes and talk to 5 organizations, because that gives you 5 opportunities to practice talking about yourself. And if you do that from your very first semester here all the way through, I promise you're going to be a lot more confident after your first introduction that you make with a recruiter at the fair, after your 5th introduction, your 10th, your 15th, your 20th. So I encourage you to take advantage of those. I also say all the time, if we had your dream organizations lined up in the festival ballroom, which is where we have our career fairs, and you hadn't done your work to practice talking about yourself, your one and only chance to make a good impression when you introduced yourself wouldn't go as well. So that's why it's so important for you, regardless of your class year or major, to come to each of these career fairs and take advantage of that practice opportunity to talk to employers and JMU alums. We have lots of JMU alums that come back. The fourth way to be career ready is to make sure that you're connecting your classes to your career ideas. So every class you took before you got here to JMU and all of the classes you will take here at JMU are giving you knowledge, skills, and perspective that you can apply to whatever jobs, internships, grad programs you're going for. But you have to make those connections for people. People are not taking the same classes that you're taking, especially employers. And they may not have studied the same thing that you did. So you're the ones who, as you move through the class, know how what you're studying makes you a good candidate. And if that is ever something that you don't see the connection for, you should talk to your faculty member, and you should be working with us in the Career Center. So I'll just give you a couple of examples on this one. So I was in a religion class, and there were actually first-year students in the class. And so I asked them, you know, how does this relate? So I had one student, she wanted to be a veterinarian. And so she said this religion class, which was part of her general education requirements, she said people have ideas of what happens to their pets when they die. And so understanding different religious traditions would help her relate better to the people that she would be serving. So she made that connection, veterinarian religion class. So you too can make those connections. When I meet with students one-on-one, another of my standard questions is, what's your favorite class and how does it relate to your career ideas? So I was talking to a finance major, and his favorite class was a history class. And in his history class, he wrote a paper on the economic system of ancient Persia. So you see, he figured out how to bring his finance interest into his history class. So anytime that you have an opportunity to pick a paper topic or a group project idea, you can make it related to your career ideas. That's going to help you learn more about your chosen career field. And maybe you'll learn that that's not the field you want to go into, which is a good lesson to learn before you start working in it. But hopefully it'll be something that you enjoy studying even more. So connect your classes to your career. One last example, I don't know if there's any history majors on the line there, but I was talking to a history alum, and he ended up working for a mutual fund organization out in California. So, you know, probably your first thought is, oh, that must go to like a business major or a finance person, but he was a history major. And I said, John, you know, how'd that history major work out for you? And he said, well, the company I work for has a lot of mutual funds that are housed in Venezuela. And when I was a student, I took a history class about Venezuela. So he said, I was able to explain to my managing director, who didn't have a history background, how the historical factors from his understanding of history in Venezuela were impacting the performance of those funds. So you can do anything with the majors, but again, that's why it's so important for you to identify what's the value that you're getting out of your classes and then be able to communicate that to others. We're not hard to convince, we just need to hear you do it. The fifth way for you to be career ready is make sure you're doing at least one internship or some kind of work-based learning experience. Doing an internship, great way to try out a career path. It also helps you to develop a network of people who know about you and your career ideas. And so the sooner that you're building that network, the bigger that network can be, and the easier it will be to call on that network as you're looking to shift opportunities. And doing an internship is great. Some students will get academic credit for internships if they're enrolled in a class that requires them to have internship experience. But just because you're not getting academic credit doesn't mean it's not an internship. The other thing, if I could see all of your screens, I would make you raise your right hand and solemnly vow that you would never accept an unpaid internship without first looking for a paid internship. We want you in paid opportunities. We can help you find them. So promise me that you will never accept an unpaid internship without first looking for a paid one. If you find yourself in a space where you have to have an unpaid internship, the Career Center does have an unpaid internship scholarship fund that can offset some of those expenses, but paid is better. All right, those are my 5 ways to be career ready. I don't know, the next slide, does it have the dates of the career fair? Perfect, yeah, so you can mark these on your calendar. These are the dates of the fall career fair. So again, we want you going to the career fair each day, 30 minutes, talk to 5 organizations. And really do sign up for the Duke's Career Connections. It's a great opportunity to meet incoming transfer students, to learn more about our office, and to kind of get a jump start on some of these 5 ways.
And I lingered on that slide for a minute in case anyone wanted to take a picture. But we only have a couple minutes left for questions, but if you have anything you'd really like to have us address for you, if you want to type that into the chat box, we can try to answer questions live for a couple minutes till we wrap up. All right, well, maybe somebody's typing. So far, nothing has appeared. I'd like to say again, welcome to JMU. We're really happy to have you here. Hope that this session was helpful to you today as you navigate that process of making sure you've got that class schedule that you need for your first semester here, and get ready for those conversations with your advisor and understand all those complexities around how transfer works and those kinds of things. Your next sessions, it's just about 2 o'clock now, which is our end point, but your next session is going to be at 2:10 p.m. with your individual advisors. So you should have a link from orientation, and that'll be your chance to both hear more about your major like we talked about, but if you need to make any of those last minute changes to your schedule, that's going to be your chance to do that too. We have an enrollment lab this afternoon, so if you need support, your advisor can refer you to meet with us and we can work through your schedule with you. So there's lots more opportunities to get that taken care of. I will say one bit more about the waitlist question that was asked in the chat earlier. Generally speaking, as transfer students, we want you to have your schedule finished, like fully finished by the end of the day today. So if you're in a wait list and there's a chance that you can get into that class, please try to, even if it's not your ideal section. And then you can do a thing where you sign up for a wait list using a swap feature that lets you potentially change it to another section you would rather have if a seat comes open. But generally speaking, we want you to avoid those wait lists unless your advisor specifically tells you to use a wait list for a specific reason. Trevor asks, is it too late to appeal transfer credits? It is not too late. Talk to your advisor today, and you can also come see us later in the afternoon in our virtual enrollment lab if you want to have a longer conversation about it. Your advisor will have the link they can share with you. And then if we finish classes in the fall after we apply, do we need to resubmit our transcripts? Yes, we need you to resubmit transcripts if we don't have all of your classes on your transfer credit report. That's kind of a good thing for you to look at. If you've taken classes and they're not on your transfer credit report, that probably means we don't have the last up-to-date information for you. So resubmit those transcripts. Elizabeth asking about a transfer credit evaluation. Elizabeth, you can have your advisor, when you meet with them next, have them email our team, transfer advising. They'll know who we are, and we can look into that for you. So yeah, send transcripts to undergraduate admissions. And I will, as we wrap up, I'm going to actually go back to the slide that has that. See if I can do this. So if anyone needs to stick around and take a picture of the address where you're sending it, there it is. All right, so enjoy those meetings with your advisors. Thanks again for being here. And we hope you have a wonderful day with virtual orientation.